Welcome to Brewed in Monmouth, the real estate tea with Kate and Doreen. We're here to talk homes, hometown gems, and real conversations with the entrepreneurs and locals who keep Monmouth County buzzing. I'm Kate, and as always,
I'm Doreen. Each week, we're bringing you the voices behind the businesses, the stories behind the sales, and the tea you need to hear. So grab your favorite drink and let's get into it.
welcome to another episode of Brewed in Monmouth, the real estate tea with Kate and Doreen. We're very excited to have Eric Ulino here from Goosehead Insurance and Rumson. Eric is my go-to for some of the more, everything, but mostly the coastal insurance issues that we've been having in New Jersey. He has a lot of solutions always for me, which is very great. So thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, we're super excited to have you and to educate people about how important home insurance is.
Awesome. Well, thank you both for having me. Happy to be here, and gonna have some fun talking insurance.
Yeah, as much fun as one can have.
Yeah.
So what is going on with insurance in New Jersey? Why is it so darn expensive?
Yeah. So I guess it's kind of a loaded question, but very much on everybody's mind. The coastal market has been a huge topic of conversation in the insurance market. Mostly weather-related instances over the years that have kind of, coupled over and kind of enhanced what's been going on in the market, driving prices up. That's been the big focus over the last, call it 3 or 4 years, since 2023 was a big year with that. But coastal has been a problem with pricing just continuing to go up and up and up, depending on proximity to the water.
Is that everywhere in every state?
Down the East Coast, yes. I think across the country, there's a lot that's going on. You talk about, for example, the fires on the West Coast, flooding in the Northeast. What's going on in Florida is a completely, we call it on its own island, but that's a completely different market. Just really any sort of weather-related instances that are coming across the country.
Even like the tornadoes and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about areas like Texas, the hailstorms down in Texas. You talk about, tornadoes in the Midwest. It's really dependent on whatever part of the country, whatever weather-related instances occur, and at what time that really drives pricing across the insurance industry.
It's hard. I don't do coastal so much, but I'm telling you, the age of roofs.
The number one underwriting concern in the insurance market across the country. It's probably the most asked question, whether it be from new home purchasers or, perhaps realtors trying to identify how old the roof is when they're taking a client on a showing. Probably the number one asked, aside from the coastal issues, probably the number one asked question alongside of the number one kind of risk associated to the insurance market.
What is considered an old roof for insurance purposes?
Great question. So, I mean, every carrier has their own guidelines in terms of like what they're willing to insure from an age proximity. So, some carriers will say they'll take no house that has a roof over 25 years old. Other carriers are, much more restrictive, where they will only take a roof that's no more than 10 years old. So,
wow,
there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes with us and with underwriting and knowing particular carriers that have their own guidelines in place, and that's kind of how it all gets determined based on a specific house.
When you have the most liberal guidelines, if something catastrophic happens, like what is the chances that you're going to get left holding the bag? That they're not going to, if their paper is, how strong is their paper, really?
I think it really comes down to all accuracy and making sure everything is copacetic with the house and your insurance policy. So I always say it's very good to do a review with your agent, right? Making sure if anything changes in the house, if you add, or if a homeowner adds perhaps a pool that has a diving board or a slide or a dog that people have no idea to even talk about with their insurance agent. But anything like that might change eligibility with a homeowner's carrier is definitely worth just doing a review with your insurance agent to make sure, God forbid anything happens, that everything is still accurate on paper so that your claims are getting paid out.
Wow, I never thought about a dog.
I know, that's what I was just going to say.
Another big one. You talk about a new homeowner buying a house and, starting a family, getting a dog or a puppy, and specific dog breeds in a household are ineligible based on, certain guidelines from carriers. So that is a big one as well, on top of the roofs, which the roofs, like I said, are typically during the home buying process, but these are factors after you kind of move into a house.
What about pit bulls, German shepherds, things
Yeah,
like
the
that?
big ones. I hate to have the conversation
Yeah.
just because I'm a dog owner myself, and I specifically go through it with clients. But the big ones are German shepherds, pit bulls, all like the bull terrier, mastiffs, Rottweilers, those types of dogs.
Yeah. Oh,
I
that's too
kinda
bad.
Not
hate
little
to
Yorkies.
no, not little Yorkies.
But listen, they could get spooked too. God only knows, right?
I mean, I've had
They're animals.
instances where people have called me and they had Dalmatians that bit a child's face and they needed reconstructive surgery, where like that, and that turns into a 6-figure claim. Anything could happen at any given time. It could be a Chihuahua with a baby. You never know. But end of the day, like I said, it's always good at the end of the day to do a review when you have those sort of life changes to make sure everything is accurately depicted in the event of a claim.
Which I don't think people, unless they experience something previously, that's even top of mind.
Right.
No, I agree with you.
Right?
Right.
I don't know who's calling their insurance company the day after the kids get a new dog for Christmas or something.
Exactly.
And the roof thing is really kind of interesting because you go through the inspection, the roof, okay, it might be at its end of life or whatever, but it's still doing its job. There's no leaks. The current homeowners have insurance on it, but the new people can't get insurance until they change out the roof. And, so they're closing on the house and now having roof people come in the next week or two. That's a hard one, especially when the roof is fine.
Are you seeing like 30-day grace periods or what?
Usually, yeah.
Depending on the carrier, at least 30 days, typically between 30 and 60 days, sometimes 45 days. But yeah, definitely at least 30 days from a grace period in terms of getting that done. But, at the end of the day, it's really hard, especially after somebody closes on a house, to go back to them or to receive a letter in the mail when, from the homeowner's point of view, they're turning around saying, well, my inspector said everything was okay. And this was effectively, a 15-year-old roof. And then you have an insurance company send you a letter, with photos that say, oh, well, you have deterioration on your shingles and you have shingles lifting and, this needs to be replaced. There's two different conversations that are had when it comes to that. And it kind of throws, especially a first-time home buyer, it throws them completely off of what's going on.
And that's done via drone? The insurance company will send a drone out?
So there's a couple ways that they do it. They actually come out and they take a look at the house, make sure everything's copacetic from an inspection standpoint. They do send while they're on the premise of the property. Some of them will have a drone that goes up, or they'll kind of have like these long, for ranches and stuff like that, they'll have like a long camera and kind of walk around just to see some sort of aerial footage of the roof. But aside from that, it's just kind of like a smack in the face in certain cases. I've seen roofs, and it's kind of wild. I don't know how it gets determined on the underwriting side, but I've seen roofs that were in a seller's disclosure noted to be 8 years old that got declined from some carriers just because of the look and the condition of it. Maybe there was a lot of exposure to wind and rain that caused deterioration of the shingles, and maybe perhaps that was something that drove that decision. But it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's hard.
How long have you been doing this?
So we've had our agency, this is year 6 in the property and casualty space with our agency. And we've kind of just been, it's been in the family in the insurance industry and for 40 years.
Wow.
Alongside of the property and casualty with estate planning and life, and we talk about life insurance, disability insurance, long-term care insurance. So we thought it would be a great opportunity, just because of the history behind it all, to get into the property and casualty space, just because we kind of handled everything else for so long.
Do you have a partner?
Interestingly enough, my brother-in-law is my partner.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so it's a cool operation. We have fun doing it. We work great together, and we kind of work differently, where we kind of make a joke and say that we kind of run 24/7 because I'm more of the morning person.
Yeah.
He's a late night owl, so there's really not much that we can't cover between people calling in, so to speak. So we kind of have fun with it.
That's awesome.
So can our homeowner clients expect any kind of relief from these every year your deductible going up, or not your premium going up 20, 30%? I mean,
Yes.
That's what I've experienced personally. So.
Yeah, so this year specifically, I mean, I've experienced the same thing, and I talk about this because I'm in the business and it happens to me personally as well. This year is kind of like this off year of what we're seeing in regards to rate increases with homeowners insurance, averages being around 30%.
Yeah, this is huge.
probably some of the largest we've seen in over 20 years from a year-over-year percentage increase. It really just comes down to what happens like with the climate and weather. Like you could have one year, I mean, we could be stagnant this year. There could be, 5 years down the road, there could be something where, we have across the country, similar to what we saw in 2023, where just claims are just through the roof because of what happens weather related. And that might draw another sort of increase to rates where carriers are going to the Department of Banking and Insurance and filing for rate increases to be able to pay people's claims out. And just because of what's going on.
Mm.
Yeah, like paying you. It's like you're being punished for past weather situations that you have no control of. They don't know if it's going to be a snowy winter, not a snowy winter, wet spring.
Right.
It's hard.
Is it all over the country, or does New Jersey weather affect New Jersey? Or do we have to worry about wildfires in California affecting?
No, so that won't directly affect New Jersey rates. It's really just, it's kind of like, it's definitely broken out between, loss runs and ratios that are occurring throughout the country and almost down to like a city/zip code level. But I think, overall, we tend to see, if you have losses on the West Coast due to fires, a lot higher than what you typically see in a year on the East Coast. In theory, you wouldn't see that transpire in terms of a rate increase on the East Coast as much as what you would see on the West Coast. But at the end of the day, it's really going to come down to loss ratios and how much in a certain area, zip code, et cetera, carriers are experiencing losses due to different types of losses that are
So
occurring.
even national companies are localized.
Correct.
Makes sense.
It does make sense.
Makes sense.
But unfortunately, as we're closer to the coast, we really, even if, there's no hurricane, so to speak, like a Hurricane Sandy, that anything that's more catastrophic, I mean, we still have crazy winds as we see the closer we are to the ocean. Whether it's, a windstorm or a rainstorm, there's still losses occurring. Obviously not as catastrophic as what we typically would see with a, Category 5 hurricane. But, there are still claims. High winds, you think about trees falling down, right? There's a couple in our area.
The last day of school this year, I had a party. I had like maybe 100 people in my backyard. I'm not even kidding. It came through in seconds. It was like a tornado. That house on River Road was crushed by the tree. The one on Kemp, it's still not back. The one on Kemp in Fairhaven.
Yeah, there's a tree right through the garage and half of the right side of the house.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's not just to say, like I said, a Category 5 hurricane that would cause any sort of damage. There's damage occurring in windstorms and rainstorms.
Yeah, but why is it taking them 6 months to...
I don't
Is
know.
the insurance process that slow?
No, I mean, there could be a lot of factors involved.
Okay.
I mean,
we won't talk
really
about that one.
depends.
But you know what I'd like to talk about? Our previous governor had a change on the seller's disclosure, where we have to talk about flood risk, whether it's, a rental or a single family home or whatever, right? So his theory for that was that there's going to be so much more flooding in New Jersey. And, I have people who live on a hill and they're still filling out, this flood risk disclosure. How does that play into insurance?
So are you asking in regards to flood zones or if it's required or?
Flood zones in terms of why the previous governor thinks that we're going to be, the flood zones are going to be coming higher and higher and more inland, I guess.
Well, statistically, fun fact, or I shouldn't say fun, but a fact of flooding is 90% of flood claims occur in low-risk flood zones. So areas that are not required to have flood insurance. So like an AE zone, which is required to have flood insurance, losses occur in X-rated zones, which is kind of an interesting...
Because they're not prepared for them, whereas the other zones might be better prepared?
I mean, honestly, it's really hard to kind of even tell or explain that. It's just kind of an interesting stat in the flood insurance space where a lot of claims occur in low-risk flood zones. Over the years, I think the last one was October of 2021. There was FEMA did a whole remapping. So houses that were on the border of certain zones, they kind of changed. And that was a very big thing where people that were not in flood zones in past years, all of a sudden, if they had a mortgage on their house and FEMA deemed it to be in a flood zone, they needed to pick up flood insurance, or vice versa if they didn't need it anymore. But that has been a very big thing as well. But I always tell realtors specifically, if you're going on showings with clients, I always say, if it's, identify if it is in a flood zone first, when you're going on the showing. And secondly, definitely grab, or see if you're under contract or attorney review, grab the declarations page of the flood insurance policy from the sellers, and additionally see if there's an elevation certificate on the property. Always just kind of trying to educate your clients. If there is an elevation certificate, great. We quote everything out utilizing that elevation certificate. If the house is raised, you as the realtor just go in and kind of guide your clients to say, in this particular situation with the house being elevated above the grade of the ground, it might be in your best interest to have an elevation certificate done so that we can reduce, it would in theory reduce the premiums on the flood insurance. So those are the three things that I kind of make sure people, especially going into a house in a flood zone,
Assuming
are always
high
aware
enough.
of.
Have there's been some talk that there were going to be some changes with the Department of Environmental Protection with how high above the base flood elevation a house needs to be in order to get some flood insurance relief. Has there been any movement on that front?
Yeah, so I know that there's been changes. I don't want to speak to the actual footage in the respect to how high elevations are, because as we get into the areas like the Highlands, the Atlantic Highlands, the base elevations are lower and lower, right? If it drops over the years, compared to sea level and how high that looks, that could change as well. You might have to raise a house a little bit higher. That I'm not really privy to in regards to what that's going to look like in the future and how high the houses need to be raised. Typically 8 feet is the standard right now. If that changes down the road, that's
crazy though.
To be told.
Hello up there.
I mean, some of them, especially like waterfront by Proving Ground in
Right.
Highlands,
So
they
you
are
see Highlands, Atlantic
they're like
Highlands,
50 feet in the air. It's great. It's wild.
DoorDash is going to have like an extra charge.
They're gonna need a drone.
Yeah. True. Wow. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it's beautiful to live by the water. I mean, that's why we're so lucky to live where we live, but it does come with a risk.
I always say that there's a price to be paid to live in a beautiful place.
Yeah.
Right? There's trade-offs to everything.
True.
But in this case, there's obviously a
when it
price to
happens,
live in a
it's-
beautiful area.
It's
And
ugly.
of course, at the end of the day, you want to protect your assets, right?
Oh, yeah.
You come to live in a beautiful place, you buy a beautiful home, you have what you have, and at the end of the day, you want to make sure that that's protected.
And your family.
And your family.
And your dog.
But you also do estate planning as well.
Yes, so that's kind of, like I said before, so that was really like the foundation for why we got into the property and casualty space. So it's been in our family for about 40 years. So we, like I said, we do life insurance. We handle estate planning for families with long-term care, disability, etc. So that's kind of, we think about, if you want to use an analogy of a house, you think about protecting the foundation of the home, and we call like the property and casualty stuff everything in the clouds, right? We just want to make sure everything of the home is protected from the ground up, right? When you're building a home, you protect your income, you protect yourself, your families, and then you also protect all your assets, your home, your auto, everything that you have aside from that, rental properties, all of that stuff as well. So it keeps us busy for sure. But that was kind of the focus point as to why we thought it would be a great added value to get into the property and casualty space, just to go alongside of what's been in the family for many, many years.
And jewelry.
And jewelry.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Engagement rings, wedding bands, watches, etc. So
Right.
Is long-term care insurance becoming more and more popular?
it is.
It's expensive, right?
Statistically, it depends on when policies are put in place and what the different variables look like. But actuarially, people are living longer. When you talk about facilities and stuff like that, there's definitely been a shift in regards to long-term care insurance. So it has been a very big popular item or product, so to speak. So that has been a big thing alongside of disability.
What is long-term?
Long-term care is just making sure you're protected, long-term, so that you don't, not running out of money
Funds.
when you can. Yeah.
Does it pay for like a home health aid if you need it? or something
Yeah,
like
so
that, or do you have to go into kind of an institution or?
Yeah, so you're basically, it depends. There's definitely different levels to it, but it basically comes down to like, functions of living, what you're able to and not able to do, and when that kind of kicks in based on those functionalities.
Okay. It's pretty complicated.
It is.
Yeah.
So individualized, right?
Yeah.
Is this something you get when you're young and healthy, or do you wait until you're old and alone to figure it out?
Definitely wouldn't steer towards the latter of that. But yeah, we definitely say with these things, it's always, or these particular types of protection products, especially on the life insurance side, you definitely want to look into it when you're younger and healthy and get a better rating. And we talk about the cost of waiting. The cost of waiting is significant when you look at yourself and what you pay into your policies when you're perhaps middle age versus when you're in your 20s, and what that looks like over a lifetime, alongside of other factors that are involved, whether it be health-related factors, et cetera.
Right. Right. Some things that you might foresee and others you can't.
What kind of 25-year-old wants long-term health insurance, so long-term care insurance?
Well,
That's a very practical 25-year-old.
It's more so on the life and disability, depending on their career path and where they're at. You see a lot of that on the life and disability side.
Yeah.
And in your late 20s, early 30s, depending on careers and different occupation classes on the disability side, becomes like a big one for us is doctors and surgeons, right? They go into residency. They're looking at disability insurance when they're in their residency, where there's specific programs for doctors or residents that they can carry on into their careers. So there's a lot that's involved. To your point, Doreen, it's kind of individualized. I kind of treat it as like almost like a wedding venue, right? Everyone has their wants and their needs. Everyone is different, and at the end of the day, your needs are different from your wants, and there's a product for everyone. So that's kind of how it all plays out. It's never clear cut for every person.
It's hard. I'm also seeing so many families who want to keep their elders, their parents, with them. That need for that fifth bedroom or in-law suite. I feel like it's like every other buyer is looking for that. And not all the homes are equipped with it.
Which is nice, to keep the families together.
Yeah.
But you do need help. I mean, I know there's government programs and stuff where you could be paid for caring for loved ones and stuff, but I don't understand all that. So
it's a lot.
And a lot of times you have to work. So
Right. It's a lot.
It is.
So what piece of insurance didn't we cover?
We hit on all the big ones.
Okay.
Aside from, your typical homeowners, and auto in the Northeast is arguably the highest in the country.
Even more than California, that surprises me.
New York, the boroughs.
Oh, yeah.
It's a big one.
Is it still true that white cars are lower rated than like red cars?
Red cars, like red sports cars, are, it's cliche, but it's definitely still there with pricing. But every model nowadays doesn't even have to be the price tag of the car. You talk about the EVs specifically. Claims on an EV are very, very high because the cost to repair them, between all the chips and the cameras and all the tech that's involved.
Wow.
It could be,
good point. Yeah.
a middle of the road Model 3 or Model Y Tesla, and the insurance on Teslas are very expensive. And again, it all plays into the part of like what's in them, the parts that are in them. So that's another thing. So it doesn't necessarily mean, your high-end G-Wagon is going to be, granted they are expensive, but at the end of the day, there's a lot that's involved.
I didn't think about that, about electric cars. Wow.
Yeah.
I have 2 more years until my accident comes off. Then I'll be calling Eric again. I was parking in front of my son's preschool, and he distracted me, and I hit a telephone pole at like 1 mile an hour. It caused I want to say $14,000 worth of damage. It was crazy. Yeah. It was like a camera and something else, and
that's like on an EV compared to that could be multiple cameras and multiple sensors, and you just could imagine how much that small little bumper.
Yeah.
It's actually scary how they fold so easily.
Yeah.
Like at 1 mile an hour.
Yeah. Compared to like what you would see like back in like the 60s and 70s with metal on
Yeah.
Cadillacs and stuff like that. It's
So
a very
much
different
longer,
product now.
right? The engine was just so much heavier and thicker or longer, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Yeah, I don't feel as protected.
So we're big
we- what
advocates
we
for Monmouth
advocates.
County here, clearly. And besides insurance, what do you like to do around here?
I guess, again, that's another beauty of our area, right?
Yeah.
There's so much to do. Whether it's going to the beach, I'm a big tennis person. I love playing tennis around the neighborhood in Fairhaven and all throughout our area. Little Silver, Fairhaven, just, whether it's playing with friends throughout the neighborhood, neighbors, getting involved in leagues. It's definitely
Tennis only, or did you pick up the pickleball?
I haven't gotten
too.
so much into pickleball just because I've always been
More tennis?
more tennis. I was actually a ball boy at the U.S. Open when I was a kid for 11 years.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
so that was my big thing with getting into tennis and playing tennis. So I still try to stay strictly to tennis while I can.
What a fun gig. Wow.
You'll graduate to pickleball someday.
Yeah, exactly.
20 more years.
Yeah, so I mean, definitely the restaurants. Going out on a Friday, Saturday night, and just hitting a new
Have you
spot.
been to any good ones lately?
The Butcher's Block is always a good one. We're trying to get to there's so many new restaurants that are opening up in the area, and as you go down south, trying to just add some of the newer ones to the list that are, of course, hard to get into.
Right. In season, it's kind of now a good time to go down that way.
Yeah.
You always say like local summer is always the best time.
Yeah.
Where you can kind of just
Because you still want to go out.
patrons.
I don't want to
Exactly.
go out right now.
Yeah.
It's too cold.
Yeah.
I know in Alberino, they're putting in a new Mediterranean
I saw
restaurant.
that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Hopefully that'll be open up soon. That always sounds nice and refreshing and a
Yeah.
little different.
River Point Inn is awesome in Rumson.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a good
no,
one.
way
Have you been to
too
Falcone
much.
yet? Doreen got me a gift card for my birthday.
Yes.
I have to go.
Yes, it's very
So
good.
good.
Yeah,
Isn't
yeah,
it? Yep.
is. Yeah. So, but yeah, definitely the food and the the entertainment in the area. A lot aside from in the summers and the springtime, just being out and by the water is
So
really the beauty of Monmouth County, and
Agreed.
there's really no better place.
I'm two different people though. In the winter, I don't even want to go out. I don't even see my friends. I'm like, I'm not. I'm home. Like, leave me alone. Then in March, watch out.
Really?
Yeah.
And you can't stay home.
No, then I won't stay home.
Yeah.
It's like 6
That's
months
funny.
on,
I
6
feel
months
like
off.
it's the reverse. I feel like I need to get out. I need to see people. I'm like, get me out of my house. We're going out to dinner. My husband's like, we've been out to dinner 4 times this week. I'm like, I know, but you're still hungry, right? Like, I like going out in the winter. And you know what? Sort of like what you said too. I think some of the restaurants are just a little more relaxed. It's the same chefs and everything, you hope, but the food is still pretty consistent. But it's not that crazy rush where I can get a reservation, or you walk in and it's not a 2-hour wait.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy sometimes in the summer. Like that, I don't like fighting that crowd in the summer. I'd rather just cook in the backyard.
Especially when you have a reservation, and you
still waiting
understand
2
it's crowded,
hours.
and you're still waiting an hour to 2 hours, and you're just like, okay, I'd
Like, can I go stand by the table and let them know it's time to go?
Do you do commercial insurance too?
we do.
Like restaurants?
We do.
Yeah. You do it all.
Yeah.
So where can people find you?
We are in. We are
On the
located
tennis
in Rumson.
courts.
Well, aside from the tennis courts, we're located. My office is in Rumson on East River Road. When I'm not playing tennis, no, for the most part, it's really when I'm not in the office, I'm playing tennis. But aside from that, yeah, we're in Rumson, local.
We're in the same building.
Yeah.
Share that really nice bathroom.
Yeah.
That's why you're at River Point all the time. Walk across the street.
Yeah,
Having me for
some
drinks
sort
now.
of excuse to get over there,
For sure. Well, thank you so much. It was very educating.
Thank you both.
And we'll put your Instagram handle and everything on so that you can, if anyone wants to find Eric and get, need another opinion on insurance.
Shop
know where to find
around.
him.
You never know, right? You get complacent. You have the same thing year after year after year. You're not even looking at it anymore. But fresh eyes can really
Absolutely,
change.
and I tell people that. I say, I'm very transparent, right? If there's nothing that's going to really enhance your policy or help you out, I'll let you know. I've ran into situations with older roofs where, I could have saved a client maybe $100 or $200, a couple $100 on their policies, and I would say, honestly, if you would have told me it was a brand new roof, I'd say this would be a better option for you. But I couldn't tell you upon an inspection what's going to happen with an older roof. So I'd rather not save you a couple $100 in your left pocket, and then all of a sudden you have thousands coming out of your right pocket.
Yeah.
So it's like I said, it's
The
always good to
honesty.
do a review and kind of be transparent about the situation.
Very good. Very good. Well, thank you so much. It was
Thank you
great to
both.
see you.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.